This is Investment Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Daily live streaming interactive. Featuring Mrs. Backup. Subscribe, hit the notification, smash the likes. Now, here's Backup Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Good morning and welcome back to Investment Perspectives, everybody. We're going to talk about some really cool news that we see unfolding. And if we're not careful, you can miss it. You can just kind of see so many different things happening in so many different places that you don't see it coming together. And it's not to anyone's fault, but if we work together and look at the perception or change our perspective of where we're looking, I think maybe we can see a much bigger picture. So this is obviously one of the great pictures of crossing the Rubicon, right? Julius Caesar crossed the Rubicon River in January 49 BC to precipitated the Roman Civil War, which ultimately led Caesar to becoming the dictator in the rise of the imperial era of Rome. Caesar had been appointed to a governorship over a region that ranged from Gaul to Auriculum, or I believe if I say it correctly. So we've heard this phrase used a lot, crossing the Rubicon, right? This metaphor or analogy. And what does it look like? What does it look like? Is it the day before price goes to the moon? Or does it look more appropriately something like what we're going to take a look at here? Let's take a look at a few pieces of real information of real things that are really happening, right? Securitize debuts on-chain dividend payouts for lottery.com security token. Now that's something you can sink your teeth into. I can feel the water on my feet as we're walking across. Digital security manager Securitize, a blockchain-based transfer agent, has delivered a dividend payout to holders on one of its issuer's securities tokens, a company first. Now I'm going to jump down here, and basically what they've started doing is delivering the option for payout for lottery.com payout. So in dispersing the lottery.com payout, Securitize found more than half of the token holders elected to receive their payouts in stablecoin USDC. This made the whole process much more efficient and streamlined than sending an ACH, a wire, or bank transfer, Domingo said. Securitize is looking to bring its dividend disbursement service to the company's real estate partners next. Securitize is one of the handful of crypto-focused transfer agents registered with the Securities and Exchange Commission, along with Harbor, later acquired Bitco and TokenSoft. So this is how you cross the Rubicon. You're talking about digital issuance of dividend payouts. And as a side note, I know that Roger Ver, shout out to him from Bitcoin Cash, also has created the SL token, which is exactly for digitized dividend payouts as well. Great things are happening. Moving to the next thing. iTrust Capital provides access to digital gold. Check it out. Just going to run through this really quickly here. Tuesday, iTrust Capital, an investment platform for alternative assets and retirement accounts, said that it launched a new service that gives its customers access to physical gold through a digital marketplace. The investment firm explained that clients can place trades through iTrust interface. The trade is executed through precious metals dealers Kitco Metals. The client's ownership of the gold is recorded through TradeWind's Vault Chain technology, a ledger system using blockchain technology. The physical gold securely stored at the Royal Canadian Mint. iTrust noted that the digital assets are 100% backed with physical metals. I like hearing that. And deliverable upon request through iTrust services. As world of government print ever growing amounts of money, millions of Americans seek ways to protect their wealth in a system stressing itself to limits. The company said it in a press release, even though investors have $1 billion of capital in gold ETFs, like gold, many others distrust these traditional financial offerings. They want the added security of knowing the gold exists and is tied to an account in their name. And I do too. I think that's a fantastic step towards offering a great product using the digital space to do it. So the company noted that holding physical gold within a digital marketplace removes a significant hurdle for investors holding gold in their retirement accounts to cost. The company said that fees related to transporting and storing gold can exceed 30% of the order's value. Damn. I've been involved in the gold and IRA space for more than a decade. I trust solutions to invest in physical gold IRAs is far the best option for investors, said Blake Skadron, co-founder and chief operating officer at iTrust Capital. Clients get all benefits of owning gold and avoiding the pitfalls of other IRA models, such as paying high markups, dealing with commission sales reps, suffering from the inferior liquidity when it's time to sell. In an interview with Kitco News in April, Michael Albanese, CEO of Tradewin Markets, said that he is pleased with how the digital gold market has grown over the last 2 years. The idea of digital gold, which can be fractionalized into any amount, has also been embraced by some of the major gold producers. Vault Chain directly connects consumers and investors with precious metal producers, custodians, market makers, and dealers. So another step, another step across the Rubicon. Real fundamentals. You're seeing the digital marketplace open up and bring in gold, right? Using blockchain. This is amazing. I mean, this is really great stuff. Shout out to iTrust. And it's happening here too, not in the form of IRA, but just in purchase. Just Phil Wright says, just bought a digital ounce of gold through Perth Mint here in Australia on blockchain, guaranteed by the federal government, can cash in or take direct delivery at any time. The future is here. And I must tell you, that is exactly what's happening. If you want to know what a metaphor like crossing the Rubicon looks like, this is what it looks like. And let's keep going because we're not done yet. Here we have another highlighted article about the fact that China could force Donald Trump and the Fed to destroy the U.S. banking system. And what they talk about here, because take a sigh of relief, I'm not going to read the whole article. So what we're talking about here is that digital dollar project and the Chinese yuan that has already been created. And they've started implementing it now. So they're talking about the pressure of Chinese yuan being digital already with their CBDC and the pressure on the United States to get this digital dollar and the CBDC created for the U.S. Coming down here to the bottom here, this is what is of note here. Digital currencies expected to make it quick, cheaper, and more efficient to buy, sell, or transfer money from place to place, according to one commentator. Could put pressure on the dollar dominance. We may be heading towards a post-dollar world. The Financial Times reported last month, pointing to China's digital currency regime as one of a number of ways the dollar position is being eroded. It is very possible that other countries adopt the China framework, and then a first mover advantage turns into a strong network effect. Matthew Graham, chief executive of Beijing-based blockchain and cryptocurrency consultancy, Sino Global Capital, told Bloomberg Businessweek, adding, this is the best case scenario for China. Donald Trump, however, is unlikely to take this sitting down. We have only one real currency in the U.S., and it's stronger than ever, both dependable and reliable, Trump said last year in a Twitter tirade against Facebook's Libra, Bitcoin, and cryptocurrencies. The dollar is by far the most dominant currency anywhere in the world, and it will always stay that way. In order for the dollar to maintain its pole position, China could force Trump and the Fed into difficult decisions about the future of the financial system, which has brought on the Digital Dollar Project by Charles and Christopher Giancarlo. And that dollar project and the white paper that was recently released. And what I would say to that is a lot of people, just as in this article, they alluded the U.S. is dragging its feet. No. I don't believe that, and I never have. I just believe that they've been better at hiding what they're doing and what they're working on. You know, call me the internal optimist, but I don't believe for a second that they've turned a blind eye to this digital world. Not for a second. Especially when you think about the fact that they've had I believe it was Ken Kurson from the Trump administration, or closely connected to the Trump family, placed directly inside of Ripple there, if my memory serves me correctly. So pretty sure that they're hip to the digital world and what all that has to offer as they cross the Rubicon. So going into this, here's another one that set a boat for the river here. So FATF meeting scheduled to discuss VASP, which is Virtual Asset Service Providers, compliance with the travel rule. Now let's listen to this, because one might think at first it's a ways off, but we'll have to see. And I'm excited. June 24th is what we're looking at here. The CEO fintech company Coolbit says only 10% of countries in the FATF are prepared for the June 24th meeting to discuss the travel rule. The Financial Action Task Force has a plenary meeting scheduled on June 24th, assesses the progress of VASP worldwide in enforcing organizations' travel rule. According to Paul Koskowski at Forbes, I probably just train wrecked your name, and I apologize. The FATF meeting will be held virtually in 2 weeks to discuss the organization's guidelines intended to make VASP compliant with anti-money laundering and anti-terrorist financing regulations. He says the FATF member jurisdiction must demonstrate on implementing the travel rule, as their efforts will be reviewed at the 24th meeting. Now, this is just in a couple weeks, right, that we're looking for this. And remember, these are guidelines, not laws, but they did express, the FATF did express that if countries or exchanges don't follow the guidelines within those countries, they can choose to begin to gray list those countries on imports and exports to be able to put the pressure on them to follow these quote unquote guidelines, not laws, right? Okay, so little background here for those that are catching up. In 2019, the FATF asked global regulators to adopt its AML guidelines. Currencies for cryptocurrencies guidelines can be known as the travel rule and provides a number of AML ATF measures for exchanges aimed at preventing cryptocurrencies from being used illicitly. The FATF said it would monitor implementation of new requirements by countries and service providers and conduct a 12-month review in June 2020. Given the crypto community a year to catch up. As Cointelegraph has reported, the guidelines are not legally binding. However, they can be effective. Any nation does not comply with the deadline may be excluded from the global financial network. That's what we're talking about here. 10% of countries compliant. Cointelegraph spoke to Coolbit's chief executive officer, Michael Wu, and whose company is developing technology specifically to comply with the travel rules. So they're looking to bridge this gap for exchanges, right? And I believe another one that can do this as well as scanning for illicit transactions is Chainalysis, if I'm not mistaken. So according to U, out of the over 200 countries that make up the FATF, only 20 or so have issued regulation covering the travel rule. However, the CEO said the remaining countries are making significant progress, which will be discussed at the June 24th meeting. U expects the plenary meeting will probably have the FATF just repeat their expectations on member countries for these guidelines. This will prompt more VASP to work towards a definite deadline in each jurisdiction to become compliant, said the CEO. As it stands today, there are only a small handful of VASP in compliance. However, they said they expect that number to rise exponentially before the end of the year. That's interesting. Others in the industry don't see that happening anytime soon. Said Jones, that it could take a matter of years for all participating nations to implement the travel rule guideline. In addition to complying with the guidelines themselves, VASP and participating countries have to deal with the fact that the travel rule will come into effect at different times in different countries. According to U, each jurisdiction might interpret the guidelines differently. There are currently several travel rule solutions in market, each of which require adequate due diligence and implementation, said U. If left too late, exchanges will find themselves racing against the clock. Coolbits developed its own solution to FATF guidelines called Signa Bridge, which went live in April. The solution allows exchanges to communicate the identities of the senders and receivers of each transaction. So what it sounds like here to me is that you're hearing about a couple different solutions that have been created to solve that problem for exchanges. So then they can further push and put the full court press from the FATF on those exchanges that don't tell me you're in this country and you have this problem or that problem. We have companies now that provide the solution for you. You would just put that interface in front of your customers to be able to track those transactions. Now, I covered this the other day, the last mile playbook for global payments from Ripple. And if you haven't seen that video, go watch it. And this is what it looks like right here when they score the countries out of how it looks and the opportunity for the last mile and the advantages. I'm not going to run through all of these again, but you see the size of the markets here for each country. And more importantly, down in the bottom is a small little area about addressing regulation, state of digital asset regulation for each and every country. And what's interesting about this is that there's a lot of clarity that still needs to be brought to this picture. So it would appear we're still standing in the middle of the river. Now, you know, if you wanted to know, again, coming back to the analogy, crossing the Rubicon, what it looks like, I think this is what it looks like, right? We still have a ways to go, but the reality is they could come out swiftly with the clarity they need as far as regulation in these respective countries. They could certainly come out with that clarity and just make it very clear and get right to it very quickly, because we also see that there are solutions as far as companies that can interface with these exchanges and offer that solution. Okay, now I think there was one more thing. No, that's it. Shout out to Crypto Wolf and everybody else. Michael Val, 5 links for the info today. And by the way, if you haven't gone over and subscribed to our other channel, the Digital Ledger channel, we're doing some really great reviews on other coins and other news, as well as XRP related news too, but always fresh, never duplicate content. So make sure you check that out as well. Really great reviews I feel like we're doing here on other coins, and I will continue to do so on this channel this week as well. Remember, no live show this week unless something changes. I am steady diving into all of these edits for the Cryptonaires documentary. So very excited about that as well, and we are getting a lot done, ladies and gentlemen. So hoping for a late, give or take, summertime finish on that and wrapping on that, and we'll keep you posted as well. And I hope you guys hit the like and subscribe. That'll do it for me today. We will catch you on the next one. Take care, guys.